Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video we're going to look at how you set your goals for triathlon, whether it be for a full season, maybe a one-off event, or maybe over a couple of seasons. Anyway, let's just jump straight into the video. Before we jump into the main part of the video, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on social media. Like us, follow us, retweet us, whatever that you need to do. Please just do it. It really helps us grow as a channel. So anyway, if you're watching this video, chances are that you are here to think about or learn how to decide on what your goals are for that particular either season or specific race. Chances are you're new to triathlon, or you're looking to take what you've done previously, maybe you've dabbled, and improve on it and enhance on it. So in this video I hope to look at how you specifically set and choose your triathlon goals. So whether it's a New Year's resolution, a mid-year's resolution, or maybe you're responding to an event that's happened in your life. Maybe all of a sudden you've looked in the mirror and you think, oh, actually I'm putting on a little bit of weight, or maybe you've had a health scare. We all look to try to change things in our lives and better ourselves. The important thing is that you try and do something that is personal to you and is achievable for you as well. But understanding what you're trying to achieve and then constantly reviewing it is important. Whether it's a life goal, whether it's a career goal, whether it's a training or a sporting goal, it's important to understand from the very beginning what you're trying to achieve. So, don't be a sheep. Don't be someone that maybe follows other people just because they've decided to do something. Maybe a friend has got into triathlon and they've decided to do an Ironman. Don't necessarily follow them without fully understanding why you want to do it first. So that's very important. Make something that's personal to you. Understand why you want to do it and what you hope to achieve from doing it as well. So, chances are, if you end up following someone else's goals, you will fail to achieve it because you don't necessarily have that personal commitment in it. They may pull you along the way, but if for whatever reason it gets difficult for you, if you aren't fully committed to it, that's where it might be very difficult to sustain it. So what I'm trying to say is ensure that whatever you do is personal to you. I've got 5 golden rules which I'm going to go over in this video. They will help you set the motivation for what you're trying to achieve. But before you go anywhere, you need to understand or need to ask yourself some things. So what are your values? What do you hold personal to you? What are you trying to achieve? As regards to an end goal, what are you trying to achieve as well? Is it a physical end goal as regards to you want to achieve something physically on you, or you want to physically do something, or isn't it an achievement? So what I'm trying to get at is, if it's a physical sort of end goal and maybe you're looking to try and lose weight and you're using triathlon to do that, well, you may decide then that you want to drop a certain amount of weight, or you might want to drop a waist size, trouser size or anything like that. Or if it's an achievement, you don't really care about physically losing weight, you just want to complete a 5k run, complete an Olympic distance triathlon. So again, these are all things that are personal to you and only you can answer these questions. So you need to have a think about what you want to achieve, and then what's your motivation for doing it. And it's linked to the previous question. Why are you trying to do it? And it's more specifically because a number of these questions that I'm asking you now are, they've been taken from possibly the business world, but you've got to turn it around and make it relevant to you and what you're trying to achieve in triathlon. Also, what do you enjoy doing? What do you love doing? Are you the type of person that's been sporty throughout your life and you're just looking for that next goal or achievement? For me personally, I'd always been sporty before I got into triathlon. I didn't get into triathlon until my early 30s. I played football, I played rugby, but I was always looking for that next step up, or what I should say is I couldn't do those sports anymore due to various injuries. So I was looking at what else I could do, and I always wanted to do something that would push me physically and mentally. So that, I decided to get into triathlon. Some things you need to ask yourself as well. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? So some strengths may be that you come from a cycling background. It's brilliant. You've got one of the disciplines ticked off. You understand the equipment, you understand the what's achieved from that. But you may not come from any of the disciplines, and that's definitely one of your weaknesses. But that's not to say you can't do it. It's just understanding what you have in your arsenal already and what you need to acquire. So whether that be equipment, whether that be knowledge, so on and so forth. Also, what are your areas to improve? I know many people that get into triathlon and they're either not very good swimmers to begin with, or maybe not very good cyclists to begin with. So they have to really learn some of those skills. Some people that I know have never swum previously, or not very good swimmers at all, and they've got to learn it from start. So again, you've got to try and understand that, and without understanding what your baseline is or where you're starting, only then can you work backwards and ensure that you've got enough time to prepare for that goal that you're trying to achieve. It's pointless trying to take up triathlon and you want to do a triathlon within 2 weeks but you can't ride, or you can't swim. These things are important and they take time to acquire the skills to do it. So it's all about understanding what your baseline is and moving on from there. You could, in theory, do a SWOT analysis, but chances are, if you're already talking about getting into triathlon, you know that you want to do triathlon. Where a SWOT analysis will help, and if those of you who don't know what a SWOT analysis is, it looks at your strengths, it looks at your weaknesses, the opportunities and your threats to you achieving your goal. So again, some of your strengths may be things that you're good at, things that you've already got equipment wise. Your weaknesses may be, we've already mentioned them already, you may not be the greatest swimmer, so you've got to build on that. Some of your opportunities are that you may have a friend already that does triathlon and can lend you some equipment, or just has the knowledge to be able to pass to you. And then some of your threats could be that you've got a niggle, or you've got a bad knee that you then have to manage that going through. So SWOT analysis again is taken from the business world and will help you understand where you are. Again, it's about understanding your baseline. So moving on to sort of my second point, and I often talk about 5 golden rules to trying to set a goal. The second one is around making sure that your goals are SMART. And again, it's taken from the business world. So SMART, as an acronym, stands for your goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. So moving on to the first one, being specific. What I always say is, if you have a goal, try and write it down, but be quite specific on what you're trying to achieve. So for example, I would like to complete a Ironman, or let's take a step back because we often talk about Ironman, but I want to achieve an Olympic distance triathlon by in 6 months time, or I want to do this specific race and chances are you know the date by this date. But again, it's about understanding when you can do it and whether you've got enough time to do it as well. But write it down, be specific, and show people it. Choose one goal. Don't choose multiple goals. I would like to do 3 triathlons over the next 4 years, blah. Don't, be more specific. I want to do this race by this date. Or what you might want to say is, I want to do this race in this time. If it's your first triathlon, forget about time. That's my personal advice. Just say, I would want to achieve this time, this distance in triathlon by this date. But also mean something, choose something that means something to you. And it goes back to what we were trying to say, or what I was trying to say a moment ago, is it needs to be personal. So you want to achieve something, maybe because a friend has done it previously, maybe a family member's done it previously, or you want to achieve something to lose weight, or again, it's all about meaning something to you. And And also, you know, something maybe that will help you, then, because that'll keep your motivation up as well. You know, you're hoping to do triathlon to be fit and healthy. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But just be specific on what you want to achieve, possibly within your first season. Also, your goal needs to be understandable by other people, because I think if you let other people know what you're trying to achieve, it helps you along the way as well. One of the things that we often say on the channel is, once your family understands what you were trying to achieve, they will give you the time that you need to train. That needs to be a sort of contract between all parties. So if you've got a young family, they just need to know that on certain days of the week at certain times, that's when you were training. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, and there's nothing wrong with it being relatively formal in that way. Because that way then, Thursday night, they know that you are on a long run. But they know the next day, that's time to spend with the family as well. So again, be specific, but make sure it's something that people can understand. And that's the measurable part, I should have said in there. Then we're talking about attainable. And don't set yourself a goal which you potentially can't attain. So a really good example being that if you want to set yourself a goal of completing an Ironman within a month's time, and your base fitness is 0, well, that's not attainable. So it has to be something that's relevant to you and where you are at that moment in time, giving yourself enough time to get there. So again, it needs to be, and I'll jump to the timely part of SMART, and that it needs to be achievable within the time for you to complete it as well. The relevant part within SMART, so SMART, so are relevant, that has to think about other parts of your life as well. So I often talk to people about relevance as regards to how does it fit in with the rest of your life. You know, if you've got a busy family and a busy job, and maybe you've got other commitments, maybe signing up for something like an Ironman isn't the best for you. Maybe we need to start off small and build up, or something in your life needs to give in order to do or achieve what you hope to achieve from it. Moving on to the third golden rule that I often talk about, and that's setting your goals in writing. So one of the best things you can do, and it goes back to it being measurable and specific, sign up for an event, and you know then that you have to achieve X fitness by X date in order to complete that event. Also write it down. Have a wall planner in the house, and you know, or a chart somewhere which says I want to achieve this by this date, and then work back from that, which will give you your sort of training points. So you know, let people know what you're trying to achieve. So write it down and share it with other people. By doing that as well, it will also give you an opportunity to look at, going back to what I was saying, a SWOT analysis as well, of where some of your weaknesses are, and then that'll help you maybe join a club or join other people that hopefully are achieving or trying to achieve the same things as you and can help you along the way as well. So if you've got an end date and you've got an end point in mind, from that moment then you can work backwards, or from that point in time you can work backwards, and that will tell you then whether you can physically achieve what you're trying to do. So you know, make an action plan and work backwards, and that will then tell you where you are. However, if you don't have the knowledge, and chances are you're watching this video and you haven't done a triathlon before, you may need to get some advice from people. So there are a number of coaches out there that will talk you through what you need to do. Yes, you'll have to pay for a session, but it'll be some of the best advice you'll get. So get some recommendations, maybe from other people that you know that do triathlon, or reach out to a club and ask them. And that's the other thing you can do. You can just go to a club and engage with experienced athletes who have done this numerous times and over multiple years. So never be afraid to link up with a club, and never be afraid to link up with an experienced coach as well. Within the training plan, like I said, you've got your end point and you work backwards. What's important is that you put key milestones in there as well. And from those milestones, you'll be able to track whether you're on course or not. So by having each milestone, it gives you an opportunity to review where you are. So you said by month 1, you'd get up to X distance running, X distance by swimming and cycling. And it'll give you an opportunity to say, right, am I on track, or is something off that I need to change my training plan? And that's important. Constant review is very important. Otherwise, you'll just amble along, you'll get to the end point and you think, actually, I could have done with a bit more training in the pool. I could have done with a little more of this. Or you've picked up an injury and maybe you can't run, but you can still cycle and swim. So again, you need to change and adapt. So contingency planning is important as well, and that was going to be the next point. Final point for me then is just to stick with it. We've talked about constantly reviewing your training already. That's important, but what's also important is never be afraid to change or adapt your plan. Don't be pig-headed and you've written this plan from the very beginning. Maybe you've put on a wall planner with lovely stickers and colours on there, but things will change. Personally, for me, when I did my first triathlon, it was a half Ironman, but my end goal was an Ironman leading up to it. And I got injured in the run-up to the half Ironman. And that's simply because I didn't understand the volume of training and the impact it would have on my body. And then luckily I put in a contingency plan in as regards to giving myself enough time to get up to it, that I ended up having 3 or 4 weeks out where I couldn't do running, but it didn't really impact me. And the good thing was that half Ironman wasn't my end goal. My end goal was the Ironman. So I wasn't too sort of disappointed with it. But it's important to understand what you're trying to achieve, why you're achieving it. If my end goal would have been the half Ironman, I probably would have been a lot more disappointed because it didn't get to the fitness I wanted to for that race. So it's, again, important to understand what you're trying to achieve and why. And we spoke about it at the beginning of the video. The times where it gets hard and you have to stick with what you're trying to achieve, and doing all this training and all this preparation to get to this end goal, it's difficult. So you can't forget why you want to do it. And for me, my first ever triathlon, my first ever goal within triathlon was to do an Ironman. It was always that end point, is I want to achieve it and I want to cross that line and I want to hear those famous words of, Andrew, you are an Ironman. And that and my family were there, and it was important for me to achieve that. But the run up to it was hard, and let's not forget about it. And whether it's a sprint triathlon, an Olympic distance triathlon, half Ironman, Ironman, it doesn't really matter. It's all difficult and it's all relative to you, and it's all relative to where you are within your fitness. If you aren't 5k run fit, it's going to be hard at the beginning, but that's your end goal and you build up. And I always say, the training is the hard part. The actual race of the day is the icing on the cake. You should be fit enough in order to achieve that goal, as long as everything's gone to plan. Fingers crossed it will for you. But people still rock up on race day, and they might not be in the place they want to be from a fitness point of view, but they still achieve it. So, but what's important is stick with that motivation as well. Understand what you're trying to achieve and just go with it. Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. Hopefully that will help. I'll link below a PDF which will just give the 5 key areas which we've discussed. It's been a bit of a rambling from me, so hopefully it's at least given you some motivation to think about how you plan and set your goals ready in triathlon. If you want to engage with us, don't be afraid to send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're on all the major social media platforms. But yeah, get in touch, and if you want us to do a specific video, just get in touch. Cheers, guys. Thanks for that. Ta-da.